I lost a lot of people once I started setting boundaries. Our background is so cute. I literally cannot get over it. But Riker and I just set this up to do podcasts on Smoke and Mirrors, and it sets the vibe. It's so, like, fitting, and I just love it so much. But anyways, welcome to Hey Bye Spirit. I created this channel really, really long time ago and then never posted on it because I had no idea what I wanted to post. And the reason is because I just felt so much pressure from my other channels to, like, fit in a niche, make content that people were, like, interested in, or, like, be an expert in that field, that I sort of lost the reason why I was making content in the first place. Like, I like the creative process. I like to share my life on the internet so that it can be relating to other people. Because, like, the initial reason why I started content was because I was figuring out that I was autistic and I had trauma associated to that, and I had trauma in general. So me trying to navigate that, like a few years ago, I turned to social media, and people on social media talked about their experience figuring out that they were autistic and figuring out all of these things about their trauma. And because of that, it allowed me to start healing and understanding myself. And that's why I started creating content in the first place. But then once this becomes your job, it's really stressful because you're like, if I screw up, that could impact if I have an income for the month. So that mindset of doing things for money is never why I started content, and I never want it to be the reason why I'm continuing to do content. So that's why I started Hey Bye Spirit. But then I got caught up in I feel like I need to, like, do things because this is how YouTube works. It needs to be under a niche. It needs to be, like, fully thought out. I can't just post whatever because no one's going to come and watch. But it's also conflicting because that's why I created this channel to begin with. So initially I thought this channel was going to be talking about autism. And then I was like, maybe we'll talk about, like, pets, or maybe we'll talk about, like, spirituality and mediumship. Because if you don't know, I have other channels where I talk about the paranormal because I'm a psychic medium. Or I was going to just go away from all of that because that's, like, so much pressure with my other channels that I was just going to do crafts. And I was going to learn how to do crafts and teach you guys how to do crafts. But then I just found myself in this, like, suspended animation trying to figure out what to post. Until I realized I created this channel, like I said multiple times, to not have that pressure. So I just want to talk about whatever is going on in my life. I want to come on here and share my journey as authentically as possible in order for you guys to be able to relate to me. So a lot of people have been asking what has been going on with me lately in content because I have been very much not okay. And it all stemmed from June of last year. And I say that because it was like one tragic thing that would be hard for anyone to deal with. And then it snowballed and snowballed and snowballed. And it just kept getting worse and worse and more complex. And I lost so freaking much. And a lot of people, they don't understand because I don't talk about it. And I've honestly also made this video once before. It's my second attempt because the first time I just feel so uncomfortable talking about it. And it's not because I don't want to share my feelings and stuff like that. It's because I am worried about what people will think. I don't want people to think about the people in these stories as, like, the bad guy, or, like, send hate to them, because I don't know. I've had some not great relationships in my past, and that has made me worried about talking about things that they did that hurt me, because I feel like I'm talking badly about them, and that is initially, like, hurting them, and I don't want to ever do that to anyone. So I feel horrible talking about the bad things. And that gets people in a really bad place. Like, if you're in a toxic situation with people and you feel like you can't talk about it, it's going to spiral inside of your head. And it's going to make you feel like you are the bad guy. And when you finally leave those toxic relationships, people in your life are going to start questioning, like, what's going on? Like, I thought this person was, like, perfect for you, and I thought you guys were best friends, or, like, whatever the relationship or the situation was. I thought that this was, like, perfect, because you never talked about the issues. And talking about the issues is the thing that validates the person that is in those toxic situations, that think everything is fine or are making excuses for the bad behavior. So talking about it is going to help validate your own story. And that's what I struggle with a lot. Because I have a hard time valuing myself. So I put everyone else on this pedestal, and I feel like I am so far below them that I can't even do that. I am the issue. I blame myself for all of the things that have gone on or have gone poorly in any of my relationships. So it just is hard to talk about. So I'm going to talk about the situation that happened for the last year. It's still ongoing. But I want to preface by saying I don't want hate to go towards any of these people. I am not talking about the hate. I am not doing any of that. I am talking about my experience, my emotions, and how it is impacting me now and what's going on now. Because a lot of people keep asking, where have you gone? What is going on? You keep having these very scary posts where you're talking about going through these really hard struggles and really hard loss. I don't understand what's going on, and it's not fair to me to go into content and be all happy and cheery when behind the scenes I'm screaming inside. So I'm gonna try not to cry, but I know that I'm going to cry because I cried the first time. But I just want to share everything that has gone on for the last year. And I should also say, I've been going through my Saturn return. And it has sucked. And if you don't know what a Saturn return is, Saturn, when it comes back into the same placement in your chart of when you were born, you go through a lot of change. It's very much reset, out with the old, in with the new, because Saturn is the planet of seriousness. So I know I'm stalling, so let's just start talking about what has been going on. I am uncomfortable, so I'm sorry. I'm going to try very hard not to cry. But last year, I was in a very long-term relationship. I was in a relationship with this person for 13 years, and in May, they finally proposed to me. And I want to get married so badly. And I loved and cared about this person so much. And it was everything that I could possibly imagine. It was fairy tale come true. Until March. And it's not even until March. March is when I met people online. I started a D&D thing, and I started talking to people online about D&D and started playing D&D with them. And I met this person, and their name is Riker, and they treated me with so much acceptance that it made me question a lot of things in my life. Because I have never felt like I was being almost brought up from the place that I thought I deserved to be. Does that make sense? It's kind of I felt like I was beneath people, so I talk that way. I put myself down before other people can. So when I talk in conversations, I say things I know this is stupid, but... And Riker, this person that I had just met would be like, why are you doing that? Why are you putting yourself down? Like, you're perfect the way you are. Don't say things like, I know it's stupid, but... And that started making me question why I felt those things. Why did I feel like I needed to set myself up for failure before I even, like, started saying what was on my mind? Why was I so afraid of showing things that was, like, so tied to, like, me, something I was so excited about, in fear that someone was going to, like, tear me down? And in June of last year, I decided to end my 13-year-long relationship. And it was horrible. It's fine. I'm not gonna cry. It's fine. It was horrible. Because I grew up with this person. This person meant so much to me. But when talking to these people in my D&D group, it wasn't even just Riker, it was all of them. They made me feel accepted. And I never, like, talked about my relationship in a negative way. They were all supportive. They were all so excited to see me get married. All of these things. And they were in shock when I was like, never mind. And it was because I started questioning why I didn't feel the same way in that relationship. Because prior, the issues that we had in our relationship that I was making excuses for, they were more significant than I let on. I just sort of brushed them off, put them under the rug, pretended like it wasn't happening, and blamed myself. But I felt so alone in that relationship for so long. And these people finally, like, accepting me when I felt so much like a misfit made me question a lot of people in my life. And not just my romantic relationships, a lot of people. And it was really hard. It was really hard to lose him. I grew up with him. He was my best friend. And he was just gone. So I end things with him. And we live in a house together. We were engaged to be married. So I canceled my wedding. I, like, had all these things that I was so excited to plan. And I was doing it with their family. And I lost them. I lost their family. And I lost my wedding. Like, I picked out, like, wedding dresses. I picked out venues. Like, I was planning my wedding. And I had to cancel it. And we lived in a house together. So, hold on. I'm gonna put myself together before I continue doing this. So, we owned a house together. We had, like, years of things that we had accumulated. Like, we built our lives together. So, I started, like, separating things. And going through all of that and all of the memories was so incredibly hard. And the day that he moved out, like, I wasn't here because I couldn't handle it. I couldn't handle, like, watching him take his things. And I came home to there being nothing in the house. Everything was just bare. And it made it seem more real. It made me realize that this was really happening and this wasn't just a dream. And when we were splitting assets and doing all of these things, we also have animals together. And we decided that I would take the cats and he would take my dog. And the last time I saw Jellybean, my little corgi that I helped raise, it broke me. I literally held her on the ground in my kitchen floor crying the last time I saw her. And then she was gone, and I miss her so much. And that's why I'm so excited to get another dog, is because I miss Jellybean so much. And it was so hard to lose her, but I knew that he needed someone. I knew that it was very important that he had someone to comfort him, and that was Jellybean. But it doesn't make it any less hard. So we owned a house together, and the reason why we have the house in the first place is because I woke up one day and was like, I don't want to rent. I don't want to go into an apartment. I don't want to rent a house. Like, I want to buy a house and put all of our money and investments into a house. So I saved up my money, put a down payment, and we ended up here. So when we were splitting things, we agreed that I would take the house and I would refinance, get his name off the loan, get his name off the deed, that sort of thing, and I would just be me. And the refinance process was so hard because I am a full-time content creator. I am self-employed. And when I was refinancing my house, I had been in business for 2 years. So how it works when you try to get like loans and stuff to buy houses, when you are self-employed, content creator, that sort of thing, you need 2 tax returns to prove your income. And because I was in business for 2 years, my income for that business was very inconsistent. Because our first year of business, I made maybe like a couple $100 for the whole year. And then the next year is when we went viral. And that's when I quit my job. Like, the first year, I still had a corporate job that I was working full time and was doing my business part time, like on the side. And then year 2, we went viral. I quit my job, and that became my full time job. But going to a loan company and seeing, like, having them look at that, they're like, that's very unstable. Like, we're worried about that. So the first place that I called, the first loan company, denied me of any amount of money. And it absolutely broke me. I cried and had panic attacks for 3 hours. And I know that seems silly, but it's like, I knew at that point that if I couldn't get a loan somewhere, that I would have to wait potentially several years in order for my business to do better, in order for me to be able to prove my income, or I would have to get a job in order to do that. So I was like, I'm going to be stuck with less options because I'm self-employed and I don't have the income to prove that my income is stable because I've only been in business for 2 years. So I picked myself up and I went on to call another loan company. And this loan company allowed for cosigners. And if I didn't have a cosigner, I would not have this house. So with cosigning, it was very up in the air for a very long time. It took me a very long time to refinance all of these things. Like, it was hard. And I was unsure if I was going to end up with the house at all. So I was dealing with that. And then right as I like close on the deal, I like went on a break. I went on a break from making content for my other channels. I was not posting any videos at all. And right before this happened is when I then got into a relationship with Riker. That is when Riker came into my life and we started a relationship. Because they were my rock, they were my support, they were the person that accepted me through everything. And they ended up, our relationship moved very quickly. They ended up moving across the country to move in with me to make sure that I wouldn't lose my house, so that I had someone to financially like lean on. So we end up like closing on the house. Riker moves in, and I am like mentally not okay, drained, overwhelmed. Like, I just lost my best friend for years in a horrible way. I just started a new relationship. I almost lost my house. I almost like didn't know what I was gonna do. So I took 2 weeks off. I took 2 weeks off from content, from everything. And then after those 2 weeks, I woke up to my partner, Riker, coming back into the room after feeding the cats, crying, telling me that my cat is not moving. I immediately went into shock. My 5-year-old cat, Shinzi, was dead. And it came out of nowhere. The only, like, she had no signs that anything was wrong. The only thing that was concerning just a little bit was she was on the floor, like, just sitting on the floor, laying on the floor, which is not necessarily normal for her, but it's not necessarily not normal for her. So I was like, what's going on? Are you okay? But her breathing was normal. She ate. Everything was fine. Like, she didn't have any emergency signs. So I was like, okay, if you're still acting weird tomorrow, I'll call the vet. And then I woke up and she was dead. And, sorry, being a medium is really hard when stuff like that happens. Because, the night before, I had a dream that I was just telling someone all of this stuff that happened, all of this loss that I experienced during this year, up until just this point, how much loss that I've experienced during this year. And I, in this dream, told them that Shinzi died. And then I woke up and she was. And it's horrible. Like, she was 5 years old. And I should also preface this by saying, like, she had a lot of medical issues from the jump. Like, she has asthma. She struggles with her asthma. She has stomach issues. She struggles with that. And I knew that when I got her that she wouldn't, like, live to be a very old cat. But I wasn't expecting that. And it was horrible. So after that, I literally, that morning, I had a ghost hunt scheduled. And all of these people on my team are, like, expecting me to go there and lead and be happy. So I can't, like, cancel. Like, this non-refundable thing, I can't cancel. Everybody put all their time and effort into it. So I show up absolutely broken and just put on, like, a face and was like, it's fine. And that was Prospect Place. That was Prospect Place. And that was the day my cat died. So after that, I took another week off. But it's still just, I still was just not okay. And when this is all happening, I started getting a lot of opinions about what had happened with me and my ex. Because, like, people viewed my relationship as this, like, perfect thing. Like, we were in a relationship for so long, and like I said at the beginning of this, I never talked about any of the issues because I felt like if I was talking about it with someone else, like, I should have done something more to communicate it to my partner, even though, like, I was doing that, but it just wasn't coming across. So I blame myself for a lot of the issues, and talking about it was just so incredibly hard. So no one knew what was going on. No one knew what was going on. And I got a lot of people that were also in shock of what was going on. And a lot of people were not in support of me doing that. And a lot of people, like, knew a lot of the things that were going on. And they still were not in support of what I was going through. They made me feel like a horrible person. Because I had just ended my relationship with someone that I still loved. And still do love. This is when I started losing a lot of my friends. A lot of people walked out of my life. And it was really hard for me to be okay. Because it was like my entire support system just disappeared. And the only true two people that were, like, still there, other than, like, my family, was Riker and my friend Jay. And it broke me. I needed someone. I needed these people. I thought that they would never leave. I thought that they would understand. But they blamed me. And not just for my ex, but everything. Me breaking up with this person was a pivotal moment in my life. Me breaking up with this person changed everything. Because I met these people that are now in my life that make me feel like I deserve to stand up for myself, and I deserve to be treated well, treated with respect. And I had surrounded myself with a lot of very controlling people. And I would just fold. And I would just go along with it because I never wanted to lose them. And I started realizing that I have a lot of, like, abandonment issues. I have a lot of codependency issues. And it just shined through when all of these people started leaving, because I'm like, I will do anything, don't leave, I need you. But it changed to, why are you doing this to me? I finally, like, am coming out of my shell and being my true self and standing up for myself and having boundaries. And those boundaries make you uncomfortable, and you make me feel like a horrible person for having them, because I never wanted to lose you. A lot of people walked out of my life for that reason. For I started standing up for myself and what I needed, what I deserved. And it sucked, because I miss all of those people so much, and I just don't understand why they left. So, these things start impacting not only my life, my social life, everything. It starts impacting my businesses, and my businesses start looking a lot different. I start not being okay in a lot of the content. I start feeling so alone and, like, misunderstood, and I didn't know what to do. I still don't know what to do. But it's like things started negatively being impacted in my businesses, and I was trying to, like, build them up while also being so completely broken. Because, like, at this point, like, I lost my ex, I lost my boyfriend, who was my best friend. I lost my wedding. I lost my dog, my cat. I almost lost my house. And now I'm losing all of my friends. All of the people that I needed. So making content was just more pressure. It was more pressure. There's a lot of pressure surrounding a lot of things that, like, people just didn't understand what was going on. So it just made me feel so completely misunderstood and alone, like I said. But, like, I started these other channels with Riker, and it's just, they get that. They understand what's going on because they're going through it with me. Like, they moved across the country. They lost so much too. They lost a lot of their friends that they made here. They lost, like, their family being close by. Like, they've been going through so much as well, and it's just so incredibly hard. And all of our businesses, like, that we started creating, like, they started changing. Like, the content and it started changing. Like, the people involved started changing. And that's when, like, we had to, like, figure out different, like, backup plans upon backup plans upon backup plans to try to continue to this going. And those channels, like, making content with Riker makes me feel understood. Because they listen. They understand how much pressure this is and how much it is isolating. Because I don't want to do YouTube if it means that I feel alone. I don't want to do YouTube if I feel like I'm doing this for gain. I want to do this to create a community of people, and I just kept feeling like that was also being taken away from me in these other bigger channels. So I started making channels with Riker, and they had the same, like, viewpoints on that of community, community, community. Let's make this thing that doesn't have all of this pressure of money, income, success. Let's build a community and spread acceptance, because I have never felt so accepted by anyone in my entire life than I do with Riker. And if I could not do any of this without Riker. If I never met Riker, I would not be able to end my relationship. They gave me the courage to stop making excuses and to stop making me the bad guy in every situation. And that's why after my relationship ended, I decided that, well, I guess we decided, but I decided to profess my love to them. Some cringe shit, but like, we're in a relationship now, and I've never felt this way. But I'm still like dealing with so much shit. Like, it's like I have PTSD. Like, I have flashbacks of all of this shit that's happened in the last year, and living in the same house that I did with all of this trauma. I walk past like the kitchen and I see myself crying with Jellybean. I walk past like the sunroom and I see me having a panic attack on the ground while my friends are like leaving. Like, there's so much there. Like, there's holes in the walls from where my ex's TVs were, and those holes in the walls trigger me when I see them, because like, it brings me back to the day I came back and there was nothing. The amount of loss that I experienced in the last year is intense. I don't know what to say about it. One of those things would have taken me out. All of them happening at the same time. I don't know how I'm still making content at all. But like I said, my businesses started to look differently. And that is also when Riker lost their job. Riker got laid off. And that was another security thing of, oh no, how are we gonna do this? And it was just triggering a lot of the insecurities in me of, I'm not enough. I can't do this by myself. I can't figure this shit out alone. This is so much pressure again. But when that happened, and when all of this like triggering stuff has happened, they have always been there. They are always on the other line. They literally, after my cat died, rearranged the furniture. Sorry, I'm gonna cry. I don't know why. They rearranged the furniture in my living room because that's where Shinzi died, and I couldn't sit in the living room without seeing her there because it looked the same. Riker changed the furniture so that it wouldn't look the same anymore and I wouldn't have the flashback anymore. And when they lost their job, they started coming together and being like, how are we gonna make this work? Like, let's start Patreon, let's start a podcast, let's start this other channel, like, let's do all of these things, we can do it. And they wanted to help me do it as an equal. And that person is my soulmate. I know this is a really long, rambly video, but I just, like, a lot has happened since last year. And it's just so incredibly hard. And that's why, like, all of, like, content's, like, weird, and why I'm taking breaks on, like, certain channels, and why I'm, like, not okay and things. Like, doing ghost hunts, it's fairly easy to make content for that. Like, I don't edit the videos. Riker does that. I just show up for one night, and can be okay for one night, and we just film content, and then that's it. But all the other channels, it's like, how can I, like, put myself together enough to be okay to film? So it's like, been hard. And I'm hoping that things start getting better and start changing for the better, because I have tried to reset a routine over and over and over again, and I've always just kept getting hit with the next thing. It was like I tried to put myself back together, tried to put my life back together, and the next thing just slapped it out of my hands. I'm hoping that things are starting to get better. Things have already felt like they're going to get better. And I feel like once we get this puppy, which I'm so excited to get a puppy, I need this puppy. Once we finally get a puppy, I feel like things are going to start feeling more normal again. And things are going to start feeling more familiar again. But that's why I want this channel to be so, like, open, so that I can just talk about this stuff with you guys. So that I can just be my genuine, authentic self, and you don't have to see the mask of, like, I'm creating content, I have to be personable, I have to be whatever I thought in my head. This is just going to document my journey. And a lot of that's going to be like, here are my hobbies. Here, like, I want to show you how to do crafty things. I want to show you how to do things with my pets. Like, I have chinchillas over there, and we can do things with them. Like, this channel is going to be very mixed, because I need a place that doesn't have pressure. And I need to just be able to, like, talk with you guys. Like, you're in the room with me, like, we're friends. Because that's what I'm looking for in doing content. A community. So, if you guys are interested in this, the rambliness that is me, let me know what you guys want me to talk about. Let me know if you share similar interests and you want me to, like, talk about one of those interests. Like, you're into crafts, you're into mediumship, I don't know. But let me know down in the comments, and let me know if you can relate to any of this. Let me know if it makes sense, because it's kind of why I want to share my life on the internet, is to help connect with people. But thank you guys for listening. I'm gonna go try not to cry anymore.